Okay, we start with our next session. I'm Jesus Diez, Director of Programs of Fundación Natural, Castilla y León. I'm the moderator of this panel. I'll try to catch up with time. I'll just say one thing. For me, this is an opportunity to share experiences in this forum. In our region, we're developing this circular economy strategy. We already developed sustainable development strategies in our region, and everything we are hearing here and seeing here is very important, especially what relates to ERDF funds. I'll just introduce my colleagues in the panel. I want to emphasize the balance we are trying to strike between the questions we're dealing with. On the one hand, we've got the green entrepreneurs with Emprende Verde network and the social fund managed by Biodiversidad Foundation with Victoria Perez, their director. We also have waste management systems represented here with Ecoembes, a very experienced institution in recycling. And this is very important for the future of circular economy, not just in the sector of waste, but in relation to the dynamics needed in this respect. We also have a very peculiar experience in Rioja. We also have representatives from technological centers, centros tecnológicos. This is very important, and we've got the very important experience in the Canary Islands. We'll be getting to know a sustainable island model. Gonzalo Pernavieja, director of the R&D Plus Innovation Institute in Canary Islands. And then we'll have the social innovation perspective, how we can use this perspective as applied to circular economy and how circular economy can promote job creation and social transformation. For that, we'll have the Madrid municipality here. Bernardino Sanz is in charge, and he'll be introducing a recently approved project through a European initiative, namely Urban Initiatives for Innovation. And there we find a very important component related to social economy and circular economy with 4 key sectors, namely recycling, mobility, and others we'll be dealing with. So with no further ado, following the order we've got at the panel, I'll ask Victoria to explain her vision. Very good morning to you all. I thank the Commission for this invitation. Fundación Biodiversidad is happy to be here. I'm representing them. I'll try to be brief, but let's see. Fundación Biodiversidad was invited to this forum because we've got Emplea Verde and Emprende Verde programs. We depend on the Ministry of Agriculture in Spain. We are not strictly administration, but we are associated to the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and so on. One of our lines of activity is economy and green employment. We work for the natural preservation, the preservation of our natural heritage, and we also focus on green entrepreneurship. How do we do that? On the one hand, we provide funds as donors, and on the other hand, we also manage these funds and we develop our own projects. Emplea Verde, Green Employment, is a program which is financed by the European Social Fund. It started in 2007, 2013, and we try to use this program in order to promote job creation, pushing training forward in order to improve capacities of all our participants in our workshops. We always work with non-profit organizations. In the previous program, we were working on professional associations played a very important role, same as universities, trade unions, and we had 270 projects started related to job creation and training staff, and we trained even 60,000 employees. We wanted to create 1,000 companies, and we saw that the call for proposals in order to receive that aid didn't make things easy for us to attain this target. I'll just be presenting some examples with Red Terrae, this network. So we'll be dealing with different examples. Some of you might already be known to you. And by pursuing this target of creating 1,000 new companies, we tried to think about how we could promote this initiative for startups. We prepared a report focused on investment, on the creation and development of green companies in Spain. There's not much literature as to what was the corporate sector in this respect regarding green entrepreneurship, but with this report, we had a general picture of how things were going regarding green companies in our country. We saw a window of opportunity for new startups in this sector, and we realized that there was a need for strengthening this green sector nationally. So in 2010, 2011, we started the Emprende Verde network, like green entrepreneurship, Emprende Verde. We have 7,900 members with us, who take an interest in entrepreneurship, startups, investors as well. It's a platform where entrepreneurs can announce themselves. They can show what they are doing. They can show their products, their services in a very often visited platform. So investors are exposed, let's say, and these investors get to know these startups related to the green sector. And until now, there was no forum for this sector. So all investors coming to our platform know that they are going to find a very important corporate sector related to the green economy. Here you can see several activities we carry out, participating in different fora, internationally and nationally. We also show green business. So just to put it in a nutshell, we have a new platform for the green sector where everyone can know what's going on in this respect, and they can invest as well. Circular economy, as has been said, is an opportunity for green investment identified by the European Commission. Same happened in our report for investment. It's presented as an opportunity for job creation, and we need to work on that and promote these initiatives. There are other examples. I don't want to go on and on, but we are an intermediary for the European Commission. We are going to manage certain funds, European funds, until later we'll be presenting call for proposals for subsidies of more than 7 million euros. We are working on assessment. We're focusing on enhancing professional capacities, on promoting this green corporate sector nationally. We'll have call for proposals. We will also be in CONAMA, the Environment Congress at the national level. Ecoembes has its own stand. There will be a mentoring program for entrepreneurs with two big challenges, namely prevention, reusing waste, and on the other hand, promoting sustainable events in fairs and fora, congresses. We will be monitoring 15 people who registered for the program, but most of the activities will be open to anyone who wants to participate. And that was all.
Thanks very much. Actually, you had finished 3 minutes earlier, so that was good. We made up a little bit of time. Now, we're going to hear from Rosa Trigo from Ecoembes. She's going to present the laboratory program that will be developed in the region of La Rioja. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for sharing this morning with us, and thanks to the European Commission for allowing us to present our innovation project, our circular economy laboratory. Ecoembes is an organization that takes care of the environment by recycling and eco-design of containers. Now, underlying our work, we have the recycling bins, and we've been working on those recycling bins with the governments and companies over 18 years now to comply with the targets of the European Commission and the Ministry, and that were established for the recycling of containers. Now, over these years, we've always worked in collaboration with public-private partnerships, and we have a circular economy model working with companies from eco-design and prevention for sustainable containers and all of the management of the container and until its final use. Containers for us is no longer waste. A container is a product that can have a second life. Now, this concept of circular economy that we're working on, for us, this new vision, these new targets that will be established or that are now being established by the Commission, it was very important to include innovation into this. For more than a year and a half now, we've been working in our new open innovation program. It's called Ecoembes Innova, to promote innovation as a tool to achieve those targets that are established for 2025, 2030, and fully connected with the business fabric, with the productive fabric, and a sustainable economy that gives value to the society and citizens, and value for our environment, of course. But we want to take a further step, and we're thinking of a project that will allow us to move forward in a more more firmly, creating more value for the society through innovation. And we launched this week, just in October, our Circular Economy Laboratory. Now, this laboratory will develop in our region, in La Rioja. It will be set up there because analyzing a whole series of parameters and variables, we decided that our region is the best in the class in terms of containers and offers a whole series of opportunities in the industrial sector, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of economic fabric, and awareness of citizens with recycling in all the different facets of recycling. So we've established a laboratory and so that we can innovate for society. Now, let's talk a little bit about this laboratory. Physically, we're going to have an area in my region, in La Rioja, in the city of Logroño, to work in the entire region under a real framework. This is the laboratory. The laboratory is not the place, really, where we're going to be analyzing the information, but the laboratory is the region itself within the framework of recycling and all of the citizens and all of the ecosystem of life cycle of the containers to implement and analyze and test all of the projects that the circular economy of containers and the targets established for the future can help us to take steps and analyze all of the synergies and provide the society with all of the results of our work. We're going to touch upon all of the different phases of the life cycle of containers, from eco-design to the citizen who will be the most important lever in this laboratory, because the citizens need to know that they're forming part of an innovation project in the whole management chain of waste. And of course, entrepreneurship, the companies, the startups, external talent as well. We can't do this by ourselves. We have to work with the entire ecosystem that will accompany us in this task, and bearing in mind all of the technological tools that we have at our disposal today to propose new projects and life cycle analyses, because undoubtedly for the environmental parameters, these are decisive elements in the results of our studies. I'm going to move quite fast here for us. The key point is to start working in eco-design, the container of the future, a sustainable container that we need to design before waste is generated, not just increase tons of material recycled, but we need to decrease that amount, and this has to be sustainable. We need to talk about responsible consumption, and this tool will allow us to label containers depending on their sustainability. Citizens will be our driver in this laboratory, because the citizens is the #1 participant in innovation projects. We'll establish with citizens the different channels of communication depending on the needs of each citizen. Children don't communicate the same way as adolescents or adults, or to communicate with the business sector, for example. And we will use all of the technologies and the big data platform that our organization, EcoEmbas, has to make citizens collaborate with us and that they feel part of this innovation project, which is unique at national and European level. And then we'll talk about the whole management cycle and the new technologies and new projects come into play here, and we'll move forward to the management of our containers in the future, from aspects such as the collection, how to optimize efficiency, not only in terms of management, but also environmental efficiency, transport, and the collection, more sustainable collection in terms of emissions and other environmental parameters. The treatment plant or processing plants, the key issues here that we want to measure is the plants of the future, energy use, what materials, and how we will recycle in the future, and how we will ensure traceability to guarantee for our regulators and citizens, because they're the beneficiaries of this, how we can guarantee traceability in the process. Life cycle analysis, we have a tool which was financed by a LIFE project, and we'll bring that to the laboratory to measure all of the results from an environmental perspective, and this will be an open space, open to companies, entrepreneurs, and startups. For us, external talent is essential to see new ways of doing things in the future. Now, the most important part of the laboratory is not the EcoEMBI's team or its assets. The most important part of the innovation project is that it is a real framework where we are going to study all of the innovation studies throughout their whole value chain of the container, and we're going to involve all of the players in that compose the ecosystem, so that the deputy director of the commission here, Mr. Colleja, is supporting us in the development of this project, because we are going to be, or we want to be, a reference point, a benchmark in terms of using this laboratory for the future and to meet the needs of the futures. Our forecast is to inaugurate this in the spring of 2017, and anyone, you are all invited and to take part in this ecosystem life cycle of containers. So we'd be very happy to have you participate in this. We're at your disposal to develop this project, which it's not a project for not only for EcoEMBIS, but for the entire society. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. We're going to continue now with Gonzalo Piernavieja from the Technological Institute of the Canary Islands. Good morning. First of all, thanks to the Commission and to Caterina and Sandra for inviting us from the Canary Islands to explain our vision in the Canary Islands as island dwellers. This could be a benchmark for circular economic models in other regions. That's why we wanted to present this. Now, we're a technological center. This is a public company. We're a technological center run by the government. We've been in existence now a little bit more than 20 years, and we do a lot of things. 150 people work here, and what's marked in red here has to do with directly or indirectly with the circular economy. So we've been working in the DNA of circular economy since the very beginning, and we've fostered a lot of the initiatives that we're going to talk about over the next couple minutes. I'd also like to highlight international cooperation for development, the possibility of transferring everything that's developed in our islands to our immediate geography, which is the west coast of Africa, one of the least developed areas of the world. We have big facilities in the southeast of the Canary Islands where we test all of this technology. Now, the Canary Islands is an archipelago which is very varied. We have big islands, small islands, and it's interesting, therefore, to see how we're working. We have 14 million 2.4 million inhabitants and 14 million visitors each year, consuming 3 times the energy of our residents. That's another factor that makes it very interesting to study this type of situation. We depend on outside sources of energy. We don't have water either. We Water generates a whole economy, and we have to think about the environmental impact of the use of water. And our obsession here is to be self-sufficient in terms of energy and water. That's a huge challenge that we're trying to face. This is an obligation, really, to adopt circular economy techniques in these areas. In addition to energy and water, and this becomes an opportunity. We have biodiversity. We're the region with the greatest biodiversity in all of Europe, so we do have very fragile ecosystems that need to be protected. Climate change is noticed even more in our areas than in others. We have a huge population of tourists. We produce more waste than a continental region due to tourism. And it's difficult to recycle this or eliminate this. It's difficult to reuse biomass energetically or otherwise in a very small island. It's not commercially feasible yet, and so we're trying to develop technologies to do that. Sustainable tourism, transport, mobility, creating new sectors where we don't have a long track record of technological development, and we also have difficulty in developing renewable energies, but we are making headway in that area. This is the islands are natural laboratories. The European Commission has recognized this, and it's also a good place for sustainable technologies, innovative technologies, and for some years now, we've been a benchmark for circular economy models in any region of the world, and specifically in the Canary Islands. We have a historical commitment with sustainability. 50% of our territory is protected. Most of you know the Canary Islands, a lot of national parks, a lot of awareness in terms of environmental awareness. And this is, we have an excellent test bank here for technologies, and we're very close to Africa as well. Just last Friday, we fostered the circular economy, and we had a symposium. There you have the announcement for that. Just some examples, some initiatives that we've carried out or are carrying out in the Canary Islands. This obsession to be self-sufficient in energy and water has brought us to projects here in the Hierro, the island of El Hierro. It's one of the most renewable energy places in the whole world. So we're carrying out another project in Lanzarote as well. So this can be extrapolated to other parts of the world. And from a more technological perspective, the desalination and so forth, we're trying to do this only with renewable energy, water treatment plants with zero waste, and transfer to Africa, this technology to Africa as well. Some initiatives that are underway, the study of the climate change in the Canary Islands and in Africa, very interesting. You have access to that information. We've generated a lot of information in that respect. EU projects, the 2020 projects, we have an annex on energy, water, agriculture, waste, new fields. Well, biotechnology of seaweed, for example. We're going to hear a lot about that in the future. It's a new sector, very important, completely circular. The seaweed consumes CO2 and takes advantage of everything, not just they don't consume water, they clean water. It's an excellent subject for circular economy. Everything that has to do with the blue economy, the minimization of the environmental impact of any activity in maritime activity and coastal activity. We were specialized in those issues as well. Our specialization is on islands and in water and marine environments, and we also have a test bank for the future as well. Here are some photographs to give you an idea, just illustrate a little bit what we're talking about, micro and macro seaweed. We also, Katerina talked about the intelligent technologies in European regions in all of these different areas, and also this blue economy that we're advancing. Here we have the production of seaweed. For us, this is the sustainable agriculture of the future, in our view, and technologies related to the sea, where we're talking about zero waste, zero dumping into the sea, of course, zero impact by the desalination plants, and here are different essays of an offshore plant for a desalination plant, and some initiatives underway that we participate in or not. There's a recent project, a life project at the University of Las Palmas, for focusing on many issues: aquaculture, sustainable aquaculture. Then Raul Facon will talk about this energy, Bri-I Energy. It's a startup with very innovative technology in the circular economy, in the water cycle, a pioneer in recycling of electronic equipment. The architectural group, also very aware of environmental issues, work with us as well. And just to finish up, our paradigm, islands that are established as a model of circular economy. In the island of El Hierro is kind of the crown of the jewel in the crown in terms of the work that we're doing. Remember, in the Canaries, where the islands are not interconnected, there's a lot of renewable energy is hugely important. We need to store that energy. So what we're doing in the island of El Hierro, we began in 1997. The population there was ahead of its time in economy, circular economy, and they were talking about the they started there with the recycling of waste and so forth, and this was recognized by the UNESCO as a biosphere reserve. What we have here, look at the center screen here. Here we've installed a new electricity generation plant here. We have a wind park, first of all, combined with hydropower. So basically what we've done is installed, without cogenerators, we've injected into the electrical network, and when the demand is covered, or what we can't put more energy onto the network, and that happens in the Canary Islands. There are times when the network can't absorb this variable energy, and the wind continues to blow. We use this energy to pump water at sea level to a reservoir higher up. This has been done, of course, in many other places in Europe, and we're doing this with wind energy. And when there's no wind, then we release the water from this tank here at 300 meters, and we produce electricity. So we're converting a variable source of energy, discontinuous energy, wind energy, into controlled energy. This is a milestone at world level. This has been working now for 15 years. And it is a benchmark. And there are many other islands that are interested in this, and we're starting to see where we can implement this in other parts of the world as well. And the last example is in La Graciosa, the islands of La Graciosa. Here we're going to do a micro network. This concept of smart grids that can disconnect itself from the Lanzarote network. Lanzarote is connected to La Graciosa by cable, via cable, and it's not just electricity, but also this has to do with desalination plants and water purification plants and elimination of waste. Very complicated in such a small island. We have to remove the waste by boat there. And so we're going to install a micro network with photovoltaic panels to make this second island 100% renewable. Sorry, I went a little bit over my time. Thanks very much for listening to me. Thanks very much, Gonzalo. And just to finish up now, we have Bernardino Sanz from the Town Hall of Madrid to talk about the urban project that he has underway. So, first of all, just thanks very much to the representation of the European Commission for your invitation, and to Catarina and Sandra. We, in Madrid, capital of Spain, reflects a lot of what Spain is, and through the presentations in circular economy. Madrid is not necessarily a leader, at least not yet. It's not a leader yet. I'm going to present a project that we want to develop. This is a project that we began to design in June last year, and our goal was to use the resources of the town hall to put this together and respond with this to a problem in terms of the use of resources and waste of resources. We would also refer here to human resources. So this philosophy of recirculation can also be applied to forms, trains, qualifies, and sometimes doesn't always take advantage of all of the potential of human resources. So what we've been working on to improve the resilience of the citizens. Now, Madrid is very big, and we're going to focus initially on 4 districts and certain sectors. And it's a project that, fortunately, the EU, through its urban renovation plan, has co-financed for the next 3 years. And this has allowed us to grow. We're going to work as coordinators of the program, and we're going to begin with the people who were already working in what we call the social economy. This another way of developing an economy where people are at the center. And we have 8 agents that we work with as partners in the project, and we've also established a network of partners that will develop throughout the life of the project, so that it's not just an isolated case, but rather reflects a real possibility. Our objectives are ambitious, and although we're focusing on circular economy, but the project is developed within that framework, but our ultimate objective is to generate employment and entrepreneur initiatives that can be more competitive than traditional ones. A question was asked earlier about commitment with circular economy from certain governments, and here we focused on, we're focusing particularly on SMEs. I don't know if the SMEs have the capacity per se, more so than other organizations, to develop this type of economy, but within the SMEs, that's just talking about the size of companies. Really, there are organizations, cooperatives, and so forth, business organizations that we think are also important. And our objective then is to regenerate deteriorated areas, to make all of our work sustainable, to use the qualifications of people so that people in collaboration with others can re-qualify and retrain themselves and can gain further capacities, and trying to reduce inequality and increase the capacity of people of their communities, of this city, and of the entire society, and generate, by doing this resilience dynamics. So that we don't have such serious, brutal consequences when we have problems like this economic crisis. In other words, to make this society more resilient. So we have 4 basic pillars. I'm not going to get into any great detail, but these competency laboratories, I would stress that we're not talking just about training people in these activities, but people through groups, through teamwork. These laboratories can enrich their own capacities, capacity building. So we wanted to focus here initially, and these aren't exclusive, but we do want to focus. We're going to focus on 4 spaces, and we've established some of the sectors here, identified some of the clear sectors, as you can see here on this slide. In the circular economy, we have mobility in the Vallecas area, recycling in Vicalvaro, energy in the center of the city. There's a greater concentration of initiatives in the energy sector. And horizontally, without any definite particular space, but cross-cutting, we have the component of social services. I'm not going to get into great detail, but we have 9 work packages. Just like to mention 3 of those. One is the competency laboratory, and it analyzes in a very detailed manner each in the territories the resources that are available for all of the sectors that we've mentioned. What resources, or human resources and associative resources, exist that can take on these initiatives? What type of value chain exists? What type of value chain can be generated and associate that with through co-participation processes, public policies that can be implemented to make this sustainable. And the other of the work packages is what we call mares, or seas. We call these the seas of Madrid. Not because of all the coast that we don't have, but of the different areas that we've been working on. And this sea is a source of an example of what can be circular, a circular economy. Mares would be spaces, these different spaces. The most the visible ones in Madrid, there are many buildings that are not being used that can be recovered for this project. We're starting with 4 different buildings. And one of the interesting factors here for the Commission, and the Commission is financing this because when we mentioned the potential of this, we said we're going to only do 4 spaces initially, and each one is a different district. Madrid has 21 districts, and now that we've had some success, there's going to be huge demand for this, and we've only just begun. And we, as I said, now we have 17 more requests to prepare these spaces. And so basically, the role of all of these spaces is to use the term detonating or triggering these different processes. When you create this policy to foster entrepreneurship, and for a long time the state has been inviting people to be entrepreneurs and to create employment and to be responsible for our own development. So in the issue of development through social economy, which is the backbone of this project, this driver didn't exist in Madrid. There are cases, of course, but we didn't have it as something autonomous, so we had to work on that and establish that in Madrid. And there are going to be additional services. We need driver companies in different sectors for this. Good. We have some good experiences outside of Madrid. They can come to Madrid and serve as an example and exchange their workers with these new projects that are developed. So on-the-job learning can be, in this case, a reality. And the other block that we're working on is the relationship that we expect to produce, and that we're going to work on these relationships. We think this is essential to activate all of these dynamics that we've detected can be developed in these economic spaces so that they flow, and that they create synergies and establish relationships between the different clusters, because we're going to focus on these 4 major blocks. Now, the relationship between these is complex, of course, and it would take me much longer than the 10 minutes that I have to explain that. But I'm just going to leave it there. And if there are any more questions, I'd be very happy to address those.
Muy bien, muchas gracias a todos los.
Thank you all for your efforts to be brief. I will just sum up all the contributions heard so far. First of all, we need to know that there are funds managed by the Biodiversity Foundation through European help. In about a month, we'll have this support in operative programs of all regions. There should be a green employment program as the one existing at the national level. We can take advantage of that. Secondly, from the EcoEmbes contribution, I want to emphasize that a huge quality leap has been taken in order to put life quality at the foremost of our efforts. Managing waste packaging was an issue so far. We needed to know how to manage it. We were not very successful in this respect. Eco-design is fundamental, especially when designing our products. For example, let's think about wine bottle, and 60% of the bottle had an impact in the life cycle respect. We are talking about very daily use commodities. Also, as for the Canary Islands, we find a very impressive laboratory using circular economy in the energy sector, for example, in El Hierro, the island. And I also want to keep in mind that solidarity-based and social economy is the way to follow. We're talking about whether these new jobs would be quality jobs or not. It's the main aim of social economy to give an answer to this. So we'll go on and deal with the questions. At least we have 10 minutes. And we also have a question coming from the social networks, social media. Bernardino could answer it, perhaps. Namely, what's the relationship between circular economy and collaborative economy? Are they both sides of the same coin? Are they the same? What's the relationship between the one and the other? Yes, after what I said, I think the answer is yes, obviously. It depends on how we perceive collaborative economy. 10 years ago, it was understood that way. Collaborative economy took other meanings lately. But the case is that this point is essential. We cannot develop our projects, the ones we've seen here, but also the policies coming from the European Union. We cannot develop them if we don't have a serious involvement from the population. It's essential. I could present a practical example as regards circular economy. Of course, it depends on the type of product we are designing. Circular economy is not either good or bad. It depends on how we use it. There's a space based on cooperation for forestry management, for example, for the production of mushrooms and other types of food. And lab tools are shared, machinery, etc. So we are having services, functionality-based economy, rather than the products themselves. Not every single company has to have their own equipment, machinery. No, different companies can share those tools, those machines, and all of them can share knowledge among them in order to use it for the sake of other entrepreneurial projects. Any other question? Thank you very much. What indicators measuring the success of these programs do we have? For the new operative program, it is the European Commission that sets these indicators. There's a specific number of startups that should be already created, a specific number of trained staff members, and within the underprivileged people group, we are focusing on women, disabled people, etc. So yes, we have these predetermined indicators focusing on 2020, 2023. We know that these goals are very ambitious. I will try to make our best efforts. In our previous program, we had those indicators. I was mentioning 1,000 startups created. We really had difficulties. We attained the number of trained participants, but we had to make a huge effort. It's true that indicators provide us with information as to the extent to which the program is working properly, but it doesn't limit us to the quantity of funding that we've got to provide. There's some flexibility there. It's true that we have no way to measure how training programs are promoting the creation of startups. Short term, we do want to promote job creation, at least 6-month contracts, and we can demonstrate that by showing the contracts, payment notes. But it's true that we lack some feedback in the long run. The indicators are quite clear. I don't know whether you want me to be even more specific, but it's true that we set ourselves these goals and we work keeping these goals in mind. Regarding Ecoembas laboratories, we do have certain figures. In the next 4 years, we will be investing 10 million euros in the lab in the region of La Rioja, will be creating this value related to innovation. 40 direct jobs will be created as well in the laboratory. The staff will be coordinating, managing the projects created. And again, synergies will be important in a specific real group of the population regarding the procedure with packaging and so on. We might have a network of 200 people working for us from different companies, sectors, spheres, collaborating with us in specific projects. We'll have companies based in our region, but also with companies based in any other region of Europe. So our goals are ambitious, but they are already working, and we are already working on that. Very well. Someone wants to ask another question. Indicators depend on the goals that we are setting for strategy. Of course, there's no magic recipe. For example, in circular economy, in Greater Paris, we've got the number of worms in the compost production in the area for each citizen. It's, for example, a curious. It's quite a singular indicator, but it works in Paris. Good morning. I'm Vanessa Pietro. I come from the University of Navarra, Tecnon, and I want to address this question to Rosa. What's the biggest challenge you faced when SMEs had to incorporate eco-design into their products, because these companies have their own needs and priorities? Well, we've been working in 3-year programs focused on eco-design of packages, on prevention, and the corporate sector is working with us. More than 12,000 companies are working with us. SMEs are the ones facing more difficulties in order to develop these strategies based on eco-design. We're trying to help that. For example, I've got an indicator here. In 2015, there were more than 3,700 measures of eco-design, and many more measures till now. With all these measures, we made packages 17% lighter with fewer raw materials as well. We want to go further, and we want to create consumers' demand for these products so that SMEs can still be working on sustainable production and consumption. We want a responsible consumer demanding more involvement from companies in producing the so-called responsible products, regarding packaging as well. And as for our laboratory, we do have a line for SMEs. We are already working with companies based in our region, La Rioja, and we want to use them as an example for other companies. In our website, you've got a specific tool that allows us to share these prevention measures with all companies so that we can push all these positive results forward. Okay, I think we can answer 2 more questions, but before that, we've got a question from the social media for the Technological Institute of the Canary Islands. So, the project you've developed mainly on El Hierro Island for renewable energies and for the La Graciosa. How is this project integrated into the national model? That's a very good question. It's such a pioneer project that there was no model in place for the ministry. We had to negotiate a tax model for us in order to put this project to work. So we are innovating in that respect as well. So next question at the front. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Juan Caballero from the Town Hall of Cordoba. I work on financing from the European Union for different projects we are developing in our municipality. My question is for Victoria. First of all, your own programs are based on cooperation with municipalities, or are you working at the regional level? And secondly, for this second call for proposals for help, can municipalities participate? Cordoba is well known for its mosque, but we've got 125,000 hectares that can be used. It's very important for the environment. We work on waste management, keeping gardens well, and so on. We are going to have a 7 million euro call for proposal based on focusing on job creation, especially for the unemployed, for those workers who want to improve their own skills. There will be a specific line for innovation where pretty much all sorts of companies will be able to participate with their own innovative projects socially. We always talk about innovation, but it's true that there are not so many really innovative projects. There will be a new line for different activities, productivity. We'll be trying to foster knowledge exchange between our workers at the national level and workers from other member states of the European Union. And this could be organized outside Spain as well, these events. There are many possibilities for our work. We are still trying to design our call for proposals. We are still working on that, but it is our idea to focus on non-profit organizations or institutions. This is the case of town halls. We are trying to make more local entities to share knowledge and to go beyond the local sphere, to go for a wider vision. We always try to make our projects go beyond the national level, the regional level as well. So we'll have that possibility. We also have a very important commitment with those companies participating in our call. There will be co-funding, but there will be a huge emphasis on training, and there must be a commitment in order to recruit those people who are getting their training. 30% of all the trainees in the context of the Emplea Verde program should find a job, and that's the big challenge of this collaborative project. It's pretty much focused on job creation, on providing employment So institutions, organizations participating in this call for proposals have to be aware that there's this commitment with the employment of these 30% of people who got their training. Town halls try to cooperate with other entities as well in this context, with more specialized entities in the field of mentoring, training, etc. But we'll be working on that. 2 more minutes for one more question. Yes, at the front. Yeah, my question is for Gonzalo. You were talking about technology transfer to Africa, to be more specific. What's the mechanism to do that? Can you understand Spanish? I don't speak it, but I understand it. Yes. We started with our cooperation funds, especially with the Spanish Agency for International Cooperation. We cooperate a lot in rural electrification, but we focus specifically on water desalination plants. It's not easy to integrate them into traditional electrification projects. So we've got the Agency for Cooperation, we've got European programs with co-funding with agencies in the Canary Islands and in Spain in general. And we have a specific program coming from the European Commission for cross-border cooperation with African countries, Senegal, Mauritania, and Cape Verde, also with Morocco. And ECOWAS is another partner, the countries between Senegal and Cameroon, who are some of the poorest countries. So we are trying to get funding from international organizations, World Bank, Inter-American institutions. It's true that it's difficult to work on that. This technology is expensive, the capex is quite high, and there's not enough money. So yes, that's our challenge. Thank you very much. We would like to have more time, but this is the time we have, so we'll go on later.